Hello guys, I'm here at the Crumbs Doilies kitchen and I am going to show you something really cute today because I know how much you love mini things. I've done a few mini things like mini Nutella pies, and just the other day I did mini baked donuts, which you guys loved. So I thought, what can I shrink next? And today I'm going to shrink lemon meringue pies to make mini lemon meringue pies. Now I'm going to be using shortcrust pastry for this recipe, and I've actually made some already. I made it last night so that the gluten had time to relax. And I've done an in-depth video on shortcrust pastry, which you can see. I'll put the link to that in the description box below. It goes into how to make shortcrust pastry in quite some depth, so go and check that out. And I made a whole batch, which I split into two, and this is half of it. And it's just come out of the fridge, so it's still a bit cold, but not warm, obviously, because it's cold. So first things first, I'm going to just lightly dust my worktop with some flour. And I'm going to roll my pastry out till it's about 2 or 3 millimeters thick. That's quite thin, but because these are going to be really small, we don't want it to be too thick, otherwise it's going to be really gross. So I've got a non-stick rolling pin. I'm going to dust that as well, and I'm just going to roll it out. So when you've got it to the right thickness, now you need to chomp out some circles. And I'm going to be using a really nice fluted circle cutter. It's just a cookie cutter. And then I'm going to be putting it into this mini cupcake tray. And I'm just going to start chomping now. And once you've chomped out as many as you can from your first roll, then you need to put them into your tin, and I am using a mini cupcake tin, like so, because it's just the right size. So just grab one of your rounds and just kind of ease it in to your little holes. Don't worry too much if it folds. You can kind of work the folds out as you go, but just be careful not to put your finger through the bottom. So just keep going until you've used up all your pastry. You'll probably need to re-roll your pastry once. I wouldn't recommend rolling it twice, as the pastry can become quite sort of thick and chewy. So just keep going until you've filled as many of your holes as possible. If you find that you have got any large holes in your pastry, then you can just use a tiny bit of leftover pastry to patch up any holes. But now we're going to make some holes on purpose, because it's a really good idea to prick the bottom of your pastry cases with a fork, just so that it doesn't bubble up and puff. So just do all of your little cases with a fork. So now I'm going to bake them, but obviously there's nothing in them to kind of keep them weighted down. So I'm actually going to blind bake them, and I do cover this in my shortcrust pastry masterclass as well. Now these are obviously very, very small. So what I've got here are some tiny, teeny pieces of greaseproof paper, which I've scrunched up, and I'm going to put those into my pastry cases and fill them with rice, and the rice is going to weigh them down so that they don't puff up. And these need to be baked at 170 degrees C, first of all, for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you need to take out these little pastry weights, let's call them, and bake it for another 3 or 4 minutes just to golden up a little bit. So I'm going to be filling my little pastry cases with lemon curd. Now obviously a traditional lemon meringue pie would have baked lemon custard in, and that is really tasty, but these guys are a little bit small, and that amount of lemon custard is going to be quite difficult to make. So I'm just going to fill them with good old-fashioned lemon curd. Now I did lemon curd recipe a million years ago. It was one of the very, very first recipes I ever did. You've probably already seen it, but if you haven't, I'll go through it again. Just as an aside, you can buy this in most supermarkets, but it's so much more satisfying to make it yourself, and you will not get as tangy a flavour as if you make it yourself. So watch and learn, people. So I have a heat-proof bowl here. I also have in this bowl 5 egg yolks plus 2 whole eggs, and I'm using large as usual. So that's the first thing to go in my bowl. And then I have my lemons. Now I'm going to be juicing 110 millilitres of lemon juice. I really recommend using freshly squeezed lemon juice, not the bottle stuff, because I don't really understand what that is. It's always better to use fresh. But first I'm going to zest 1 lemon to get some really nice lemony oils in there. And then the last thing to go in this bowl, apart from the juice, is 110 grams of caster sugar. And then once that's in, it needs to go straight onto a simmering pan of water, otherwise known as a bain-marie, and very quickly start to stir it with a whisk. So your bain-marie should be over a kind of low-medium heat. And the reason you want to whisk it is to keep it moving so it doesn't scramble the eggs while it does. It's going to cook the eggs, but we don't want them scrambled. So it just needs to be moving around all the time. And I'm going to be doing this for about 6 or 8 minutes actually, which just seems quite a long time. And it seems quite liquidy at the moment, but in about 6 or 8 minutes, it's going to thicken right up. Right, it's lovely and thick now, so I'm going to take it off the heat. And the last ingredient that goes in is 60 grams of cold chopped butter, and that's going to help to stop it cook, but also give it a real richness that lemon curd is famous for. And once all your butter is melted in, then while it's still warm, you want to sieve it, just to get any kind of lumpy bits that aren't going to be very attractive taken away. Then you'll end up with lovely, smooth, silky lemon curd. And when it's all done, you then need to just cover it in cling film while it's cooling down, otherwise it'll get a bit of a skin on top. And then when it's cool, it'll be ready to use. Now obviously on a lemon meringue pie is traditionally meringue, obviously. And I'm going to be doing an Italian meringue. I've done this a couple of times, but let's go through it again. I've got a saucepan here and it has 240 grams of caster sugar, and to that I'm going to add 75 millilitres of water. And then I'm going to set that over a medium heat and just get that going, bubbling away. And I'm also using a sugar thermometer. This is very important because you can't really do this by eye, because you need to get this first of all to exactly 110 degrees C. Right, this is at 110 now, so the next bit needs to happen, and I've got my freestanding mixer with a balloon whisk attachment, and into that I'm going to put 90 millilitres of egg whites and get that going on a low speed to start with. So while this is going, obviously the sugar is still being heated, and I want this to get to 118 degrees C, by which point my egg whites should be nice and white and frothy, and that will be the time to add it. Right, that's 118 degrees C, so it's ready to go into my egg whites. So pour it down the side of the bowl rather than onto the whisk, otherwise it might splash up and spray everywhere. It's very hot, so do be careful and pour it in a steady stream. Okay, so this is now lovely and cool, so I'm just going to add a pinch of salt and a quarter of a teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract, just to give it a little bit of flavour. And then once that's whisked around for another few seconds, it'll be ready. And that is ready, and it looks and smells pretty darn good. So now I've got all my bits ready. I've got my pastry shells, I've got my lemon curd. Now I've got my yummy Italian meringue, which I just want to eat on its own now. So I'm just going to get things ready, going to put this into a piping bag, and then we'll get on with assembling the tarts. It's assembly time, guys, which is the best bit. So I've got my little pie shells all ready to go. I've got my lemon curd in a piping bag. I actually only used about half of the amount that I made, which is great news because lemon curd on toast is brilliant. And I've also got my Italian meringue in a piping bag with a fancy pants nozzle on the end. So now I'm just going to start by filling my pie shells with my lemon curd. And now I'm going to go around them again, but this time with my Italian meringue. Now already these are looking pretty cute, but they're gonna look even better in a sec because I'm getting my favorite tool out of the cupboard, and that is my trusty blowtorch. So if you don't have one of these, or if you're not allowed one yet, then you can do the same thing sort of in a really hot grill. So whack your grill up to the highest heat, put these on a baking sheet, a heatproof sheet, and then whack them under there, and it will literally take seconds. You don't want to take your eyes off it, and it will just torch the top. But this is my favorite, as we know, so here goes. I think these are awesome, and I think you can probably bring these out at any occasion where a normal lemon tart would do, because these are a million times better because they're mini and they pop into your mouth in one go, which is brilliant. So give those a go. If you do, take a picture, use the hashtag Cupcake Jemma so that I can see it on Instagram. I love seeing you guys do my bakes, and sometimes on a Mega Fan Mondays, I even feature your work on my Instagram feed. So go and check that out. And if you haven't already been to my website to check my merch out, then you should do that, cupcakejemma.com. I get things like this badge and my awesome oven gloves that I was using earlier. There's loads of cool stuff, so treat yourself. And I'm going to treat myself now with a little mini lemon meringue pie. See you next week. Bye.